Shabbat Shalom, Mishpaka. Shimi Akasha Yisrael. Hiya Nethmate Shah Yehuda Tehila Yahweh, Tehila Yahweh Ben Yahweh. Shabbat Shalom, family. I am Makazi Yisrael, and I exist from the tribe of Yehuda. Praise Yahweh and praise Yahweh Ben Yahweh. Tonight, we are going to be picking back up on the class of the Adamites. Like as before, we'll start with some of the older information, and then we'll move into the newer information. So we're going to pick back up from judgment in the old. And when Adam, before his mental death, used judgment in practical matters, he was pragmatic, meaning it's of a particular practical point of view, practical consideration, meaning anything that's practical, meaning he used it daily. The choice is the act of choosing, selection, the power, the right, the liberty to choose, the option of fine quality, selection, and excellent. Freedom of choice is a burden. It's a burden because in a society of illogical philosophy, a lot of us, well, I would say all of us, were taught bad choices. And those bad choices are weighed differently on the basic premise of how you live your life. Some people view drinking and drugs to be bad or not bad, classify it as a good time or evil. Other things with music, what kind of genre you listen to is good or evil. Curse words, you know, living as if you are a sodomite, as if these things are, practicing, these holidays of this continent, you know, which is paganism, it's heathen, holds no real weight, with who you venerate, you know, idolize, all of these different things, all of these different judgments people use practically, but they view it or they weigh it differently. And that's the burden of choice. Genesis chapter 2, verse 15, and Yahweh took the man and put him into the garden of Eden and dressed it and kept it. Dress, from the Hebrew reference 5647, abad, is to work. In any sense, to serve. So he placed the man into the garden to work it, to serve it. Keep is the properly to hedge about or guard, to guard it. He's going to be working Eden as well as guarding Eden, protecting Eden. Hedge is a barrier, boundary. Another word for keep is watchman, which is a person who keeps guard over a building at night to protect it from fire, vandals, or thieves. The insignia is, in the Roget's International Thesaurus, the ensign, which is a homonym of end sign. Its symbols and crosses and heraldry, meaning these things hold some kind of symbolic messaging or influencing on the mind. It's cultivated. It's the culture. It's what weed out or prune, delve and list, fallow, which is another homonym of follow. Herald, fertilizer, enrich, and prolificate, to refine. The insignia is a badge of office, of ranks, memberships, nationalities. So the insignia of the ensign is talking about the nationalities. The ensign is a sign or a token. Symbol is something that represents something else by association of resemblance or conviction, especially a material object used to represent something invisible. A printed or written sign used to represent an operation. A cross is a trial or affliction, pass cross or pass across. That's from the American Heritage Dictionary. A trial or affliction. So this is also talking about knowing how insignia means nationality. This is going in to the trial of the Adamites for eating of the philosophy of good and evil, disobeying and breaking the law of Eden, which they were sworn to keep it, work it, and to protect it. What? The philosophy. That's what they was working. They were working in the philosophy with practical consideration. But they allowed, I'm sorry, I got this light on. But they allowed for an inferior philosophy to come into the mind, which then made them illogical. And that illogical philosophy put us on trial because we had started to afflict the law. We started to pass this information on. The heraldry is the study or art of tracing genealogies, of determining, designing, or granting coats of arms, and of ruling on questions of rank or protocol. We were starting to question the ranks and protocols in Eden. This is why we fell, because of an inferior philosophy altered our logical thinking into an illogical thinking, right? And then that illogical thinking got us starting to question, right, what Yahweh said. Thou shalt not eat of wicked philosophy, or thou shalt surely die. So, with that being said, you know what? We at the end of this old class. Let's just go ahead and finish it. End is completion, conclusion, fulfillment, head, judgment day, day of wrath, remnant, and wipe out. Now, there has been a count of 2 judgment days already that has taken place. The first judgment day took place in the garden with Halil, which is Satan's name in Hebrew, Halil, the Evites or the Kavites. That's how you say Evites. It's the Kavites in Hebrew. And then the Adamites. Judgment Day was taking place. A trial was happening. A trial occurred, and they all got their sentencing, and then got kicked out of the garden. That's the first Judgment Day. The second Judgment Day that took place was in the days of Noah. Yahweh judged the earth. He condemned it that man thought evil continuously and decided to flood it for 40 days and 40 nights. And then this is the final Judgment Day. So again, the Trinity. You got 3. And this one, Aleph Beth Gemel, Gemel represents or symbolizes the rich man chasing after the poor man. So Yahweh is chasing after his poor children for this judgment day to give us the good riches of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding so that we may be spared and saved from the day of wrath. And he's only looking for a remnant, small number, to get this done. Because everything else is going to be getting pretty much wiped out and started over. And if you think I'm lying about that, let's just turn to Zechariah chapter 13, verse 7 through 9. Let's see if I'm lying about that. I don't think I am, though. I'll never lie to you. I wouldn't be a good teacher if I did. Zechariah chapter 13, 7 through, like I said, 9. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith Yahweh of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord Yahweh, that 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left. That's a remnant. 2/3 out of a third, right, shall cut off and die. You have a remnant. You have a 1/3 left. That's a remnant, right? But the third shall be left therein. Verse 9. And I will bring that third part through the fire. That's talking about cultivating, refinement. You're going to see. And will refine them. See? As silver is refined. And will try them as gold is tried. Try means a trial. You get put on trial again to see if you are really refined. And they shall call on my name, Yahweh Ben Yahweh. And I will hear them. And I will say, it is my people. And they shall say, the Lord Yahweh Ben Yahweh is my God. Yahweh. Praise Yahweh. So I'm not lying to you. Now the sign of this is in J.I. Rodell, which is measurement. Again, I already told you measurement in some of my other classes means something that is being prepared, as well as something or someone that is being compared to something else, right? Measurement also deals with a timestamp at a certain time for a length of time, at this time, at the end time, right? And the evidence of the manifestation of Yahweh coming to his people after 400 years, which he did as Yahweh Ben Yahweh. And he's going to bring to our minds the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, which is that great substance, that will be able to cross oneself, will be able to make it and come across. Remember, I told you cross also means to come across this day of judgment and be able to live. Now, the remnant, again, is only the 144,000 that he needs for the Godhead in order to save the rest of the majority. So even for that third part is for the Godhead is going to come in. 144,000 to help bring that majority third into salvation. Praise Yahweh. And that is the old class. Now let's get into the new class, right? I believe what we picked up, we were talking about the different classes of angels. That's what I believe we left it off at. Yep, because I was talking about in Eden, right? Yep. Okay. We're going to pick it back up right here where it says the revelation of scriptures concerning angels are few, but nevertheless have great value. The first, they furnish a necessary safeguard against narrowness of thought as to the extent and variety of the creation of Yahweh. 2, they help us in acquiring the proper concept of Yahweh Ben Yahweh, who was above the angels and the Holy One of the angelic worship. 3, they give a wonderful attractiveness to our conception of that unseen world to which we are hastening, the spirituality of perfection. 4, They are set before us as an example of joyful and perfect fulfillment of Yahweh's will. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven by the angels. They put to shame the horrible indifference of multitudes of mankind with respect to the great work of the conversion. Why? The law of the Lord Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul. And there is joy in the presence of the angels of Yahweh over one sinner who repents. And that's Luke chapter 15, verse 10. Number 6, they broaden our view of the manifold mercies of Yahweh, whose angels are sent out to render service for the sake of those who will inherit salvation. That's Hebrews chapter 1, verse 14. And number 7, of the perfect number. They remind people of their high rank as human beings, and their exalt destiny can become spiritual children of Yahweh. You who are made a little lower than the angels may become like the angels of heaven. Talking about the other nations. Because Yahweh tells us in Psalms 82, I want to say verse 6. Let's just go over here and take a look real quick. Psalms. Oh, that burp. Psalm. Job. Psalms right here. 82. 82. Verse 6. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. Talking about Israel. Right? Are children of the Most High. Verse 7 says, but ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. And when you look at gods in this verse, it tells you angels or messengers. So this saying humans are made a little bit lower than us may become like angels of heaven if they choose to follow the law, statute, judgments, and commandments of Yahweh. Now, you saying y'all superior to us? Understand, this is what the Bible says. I'm just telling you what it is. We are the children of Adamites. We are the physical representation of Adam. The purpose of us, I'm going to let you in on a secret. The purpose of us even falling and failing in the garden was on purpose. When you look at the pillars of Boaz, right? The pillars that's in front of Solomon's temple, right? The Boaz pillars, right? It's two pillars. Boaz represents the left pillar, which is known as the terrestrial pillar. It had a earthly globe on top of it. The right pillar was known as Yakin, and it had the celestial orb on it. The celestial Yakin represents first the Son of God coming unto us to teach us the celestial ways again. For the first Adam was a terrestrial, carnal Adam. It says that God is going to be resurrecting the spiritual Adam. So we too shall be made like unto the Son. That's why he is the first begotten of the dead. That sets forth a series. So we represent that transitioning of the pillars of Boaz pillars and the Yakin pillar. So we are the angels that is being spoken of in Psalms 82, verse 6. And the rest of the nations that come through the other sons of Cush, of Ham, of Jephthah, because we come through the house of Shem, are not of the blessed seed. So they can become, which is the rest of the people of the earth, can become like angels. You can become singular. How we was compared to becoming like men and dying like man. You too, regular Gentiles and heathens out there who may watch this. And again, a heathen is not bad. A heathen is somebody who don't believe or have the same faith as you or the same knowledge as you. We're all heathen to something. All right, hear me out. And then a Gentile is just, it means another nation. So what I'm telling you is those of other nations who don't have the same belief as us can come and worship Yahweh, who is the one true God, the one living God, and then they can become like us, serving Yahweh and becoming like us in character. That's what I'm saying. Let's go ahead and get that on. Deputy, from the Webster Encyclopedia Unabridged Dictionary, is a person appointed or authorized to act as a substitute for another or others. A person representing a consistency in certain legislative bodies. Meaning, again, we become a series. Yahweh Ben Yahweh is the first in series. And then all of his disciples who come back into the fold and start to actually do the will of Yahweh, we become the deputies. We become the substitutes of his persons who are exhibiting this righteous moral behavior, showcasing that we are of the same legislative body, meaning the authoritative body, meaning the Godhead. Praise Yahweh. Now, angels also mean messenger, as we already learned that. You can just go back a little bit and I can show it to you. I don't mind. All right, let's see here. An angel is an unused root meaning to dispatch as a deputy, a messenger, specifically of Yahweh. So anyone who can walk in the light and become perfect is going to be like Yahweh. So that's why you can become a deputy or a messenger for Israel, if you're Israel. True Israel, not those false ones. But get to that. I got a class on that after this one that I'm thinking about doing on live, which is me debating the AI, the beast. You're going to like that class. It's going to be really good. But the messenger is a person who carries a message or goes on an errand for another, especially as a matter of duty or business. The message is the communication containing some information, news, advice, request, or the like sent. Official communications as from a chief executive to a legislative body. Before our fall, during our 6,000-year deep sleep, we were these messengers that gave out and taught the philosophy of the tree of life only to the people. And we had the whole world in perfection, and everybody was happy and living a good old time until we fell, because it was on purpose, because we were the special creation of the terrestrial atom. Now we're going to become the spiritual atom. Praise Yahweh. Now, prophet. What is a prophet? Well, a prophet is a generally inspired person. A person who is generally inspired. That's a prophet. Anybody can be a prophet. We have a lot of false prophets out here. They generally inspired to speak falsehood. uh, but we do have a lot of generous, genuine prophets out here speaking the prophecies of Yahweh. It is a primitive root to prophesy, to speak or sing by inspiration, in prediction or simple discourse. Right now, we're having a simple discourse. Me going over some notes, you're listening, and I'm prophesying these notes onto you. Look at that. You can make yourself a prophet. That's literally part of the definition. Make self a prophet. And we get this from 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 37. And it reads, if any man that thinks himself to be a prophet or spiritual, here's a requirement. Let him acknowledge that the things that I write unto you are of the commandments of Yahweh and Yahweh Ben Yahweh. Praise Yahweh. Boom. These writings that I am speaking unto you, this knowledge that I am sharing with you, this time, this intimate time we are having as friends, family members, in this simple discourse that I am giving to you is prophecy. Praise Yahweh. Look at that. A prophetess. Don't forget about our ladies out there. A prophetess is a generally inspired woman. Look how fair Yahweh is. Look how fair Yahweh is. Look how fair Yahweh is. You can be a prophetess, a generally inspired woman, a poetess. Look at that. By association, also a prophet's wife. Look at that. Look how generous Yahweh is. Messenger, from the Hebrews reference 6680, right? Which is Zah. I'm sorry, Tasa. And Tasa is Tasade Wav Hey. It is a primitive root. Is this now? Yes, it is. Okay, I have to make sure. It is a primitive root intensively to constitute, enjoin, appoint, bid, forbid, charge, give a charge, and a command. It is a primitive root to be fresh, full, cheerful in announcing the glad news, the good news, preaching and publishing, bringing tidings and showing forth. Are we not doing that? Yes, we are. So I'm proving that I am a messenger, which I am proving I am one of the angels. Because for one, I qualify to being an angel and not like an angel because I am a Hebrew Israelite by nationality. And I am proving to be a prophet because here we are having this simple discourse. And I'm also proving to be a messenger of Yahweh because I am here giving you this good message of the good news on how we're going to become the spiritual Adam and be able to seek retribution and become whole again and unite by being full cheerful, showing you that I am publicizing this. You see my YouTube, you're watching my YouTube, and that I am preaching these good tidings. It says the meaning to dispatch as a deputy, a messenger, specifically of Yahweh, an angel like Moses, Yeshua, Aaron, Samson, David, Samuel, Jacob, etc. You see, all of these people were classified as angels. Also, a prophet, priest, or teacher, ambassador, angel, king, messenger, a primitive root, properly to front, stand boldly out, to do the opposite of what we see out here in the world, by implication, in the causativeness, to become manifested. I have manifested myself before you. Yahweh has given me my name, Acasia, about 7 years ago now. And here I am, manifesting myself before you. Figuratively, I am always announcing the word by mouth. I present these words to you by my mouth. Specifically, I expose the enemy of Yahweh. And I predict and explain my predictions. And then I praise Yahweh. And then I praise our people to be wary to not forget Yahweh. And then I certainly show you my notes. I tell you where to find these things so that when you do go, and if you're eager enough to look this stuff up, that it is certified that the proof is in the pudding, as they say. I declare these things. I denounce falsehood. I expound upon the word. I profess the truth to you. Then we rehearse these things by practicing, because you have to be a doer of the word. And then I report things that I see in the news, from time to time, and then I speak to you all and I tell you all about it. Am I not doing it? Yes, I am. Are there others out there doing it? Like my brothers out there, Shemuel Ben Yahweh and Jacob and Yaakov, uh and Yaakov, the my brother out there who was the citizens of Yahweh, his channel as well, doing the exact same thing. We are good brothers trying to bring you all the good news, to wake you all up and to unify our people under the will of Yahweh so that we can be good deputies, good substitutes, good ones to help lead you, show forth these things, and report to Yahweh, hey, Yahweh, look at the good things we are doing for our people. Look how we're unified and we are able to move forward and progress. Praise Yahweh. We choose to inspire is to fill with an animating, quickening, or exalting influence, to produce or arouse a feeling or thought, and to inspire the confidence in others that it's okay to say Yahweh Ben Yahweh. It really is. It we communicate and suggest the divine decree and prompt you all to follow it. We instigate the utterance of actions, and we show forth the objectiveness of why we should do it by the influence without a vow or responsibility. We try to tell you all. It's so funny that that's in the definition of inspire, but without a vow, like you don't have to take a pledge or a secret code. Yahweh doesn't do that. You praise Yahweh openly. Inspiration is an inspiring or animating action of influence, a divine influence directly of the objectiveness or subjectiveness, and immediately exerted upon the mind and soul. It's the divine quality of the writings or words of a person so influenced. This is how we're becoming the spiritual Adam. We're still in the Adam class, but now we're getting into how we're becoming the spiritual Adam now. But we're going to have to pause it right there. So with that said, I hope you all have a wonderful night. I'll see you all in the next class here in a few minutes, most likely on my live. So most likely the live version will probably come out before this one because I got to edit it. But I hope you all enjoyed this class of the Adamites. I know I enjoyed talking about it. Um, Happy Shabbat. Shabbat this year does fall on Saturday evening to Sunday evening. Next year, when Abib 1 happens on, they say March 17th, but for us, it's Abib 1. It will be the following, the Shabbat shall be Sunday night moving into Monday night. Because remember, our Sabbaths rotate. It does not stay on the same day. When you look up 7, it tells you these things and its definitions of 7. And there you go. So with that being said, family, Shabbat Shalom, Anichos, Mishpah. Praise Yahweh. Praise Yahweh Ben Yahweh. And wait a minute. I'm going to use my cool little remote. Y'all have a good day. Praise Yahweh.